at least 39 reported killed in Myanmar as Chinese factories burn.
Here's a summary of the article.
5-minute read. Reuters. Security forces killed at least 22 anti-coup protesters in the poor, industrial Halangthaya suburb of Myanmar's main city on Sunday after Chinese-financed factories were set ablaze there, an advocacy group said. A further 16 protesters were killed in other places, the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners said, as well as one policeman, making it the bloodiest day since the February 1 coup against elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi. The Chinese embassy said many Chinese staff were injured and trapped in arson attacks by unidentified assailants on garment factories in Halangthaya and that it had called on Myanmar to protect Chinese property and citizens. China urges Myanmar to take further effective measures to stop all acts of violence, punish the perpetrators in accordance with the law and ensure the safety of life and property of Chinese companies and personnel in Myanmar, its statement said. Anti-Chinese sentiment has risen since the coup that plunged Myanmar into turmoil, with opponents of the army takeover noting Beijing's muted criticism compared to Western condemnation. If you want to do business in Myanmar stably, then respect Myanmar people, she said. The repression undermined the prospects for peace and stability, she said, appealing to the international community support the people of Myanmar and their democratic aspirations. Away from Halangthaya, at least 16 deaths were reported elsewhere in Myanmar, including in the second city of Mandalay and in Bago, where state television MRTV said a police officer had died of a chest wound after a confrontation with protesters.
This post received a score of 9,200, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Everyone is talking about the Chinese factories. Can we also acknowledge that the Tatmadaw have killed 39 protesters today, half of them in places with no connection to the burning of Chinese factories? That is making it the bloodiest day since the coup. Completely unacceptable regardless of what some of the protesters may have set on fire in Langthaya township.
Greater than half of them in places with no connection to the burning of Chinese factories, but you are not thinking in the way media told so. You are doing it wrong.
Let's make an interesting reference.
Little ironic that the democratic regime these protesters are fighting for was closer to China than the military was, and the factories they burned were part Taiwanese owned too.
Myanmar FDI. Also ironic because 46% of foreign direct investment is from Singapore. They are literally 3 times more likely to attack something belonging to Singaporeans than mainlanders. And #X200B? If you count the special economic zones, the number gets even more skewed.
A lot of the mainstream media has been blaming the coup on China, so the protesters who rightfully despise the military dictatorship are lashing out at Chinese people, even though China was far more friendly to Aung San Suu Kyi's government. Suu Kyi has been highly supportive of the genocide being led against the Rohingya with China's blessing and Western opposition, but now that she's gone, both China and the West are unsure of whether to push for the ouster of the military junta or try to win it over. I think this was a mess China was trying to avoid by keeping Suu Kyi in power. All this instability is bad for business.
If democracy is Snow White, social media will be the poison apple. When a person is filled up with hate, you will not expect any rational actions. In fact, Aung San Suu Kyi was far more closer with CCP and fell out of the favor from the West. I don't see any reason the CCP is behind such coup to damage their own investments. But again, social media doesn't require any facts, source checking. Wait, one day it will backfire on the West.
Dude, it's already backfiring on the US. There is more division in our country right now than ever before besides the Civil War era, probably worse than 1968 as well. Yes, it will never explode into a civil war like some people like to exaggerate, but it truly is tearing us Americans apart. It was a mistake in my opinion.
Mistake? The ruling class just found an easy way to divide and conquer us?
No doubt the corporations are happy. They can influence people more easily since kids have screens up to their faces every couple minutes scrolling through Facebook and YouTube. I believe social media was invented with good intentions, but it has had such a harmful impact on society. It's a huge issue that will probably never be solved.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.